Oh boy, another video on discussion about media and representation and erasure. People seem to love those a lot, and it totally doesn't result in comment section discourse at all, ever. Boy, I sure hope no problems come from a video like this. Cosmo, do you think they're ready for a very probably boring discussion video on it? You're already bored. You don't want to hear what I gotta say. You don't want to hear a damn thing. He's ignoring me. This will be interesting to say the least, I'll tell you that much. A few days ago, one of my friends sent a post in our group chat along the lines of an obviously unofficial report that Spider-Man was finna have a boyfriend or guy love interest in the new upcoming movie. Obviously not true, but it sparked a bit of debate amongst us, seeing as some people have a problem with newer versions of characters having their sexuality changed for newer and more modern stories. And while this may sound kinda dumb and unimportant to complain against to some, I actually feel very inclined to. And this isn't an unpopular opinion either, as a lot of people do find the changing of a character's sexuality wrong. But I respectfully have a problem with them having a problem with that. Here's why. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. So what exactly is the topic of discussion for today? Well, basically, some people do not like new versions of old characters with their sexuality being altered, and they usually attribute it to virtue signaling or trying to appease the gays. Because everything's political now, apparently. The issue people are having is with an existing character and creating an incarnation of them with a different sexuality than they originally apparently had. People usually refer to this as a form of virtue signaling, which, if you didn't know, means the action or practice of publicly expressing opinions or sentiments intended to demonstrate one's good character or the moral correctness of one's position on a particular issue. But it's also a stupid buzzword homophobes, ableists, ignorant, and intolerant people use when they got a problem with something they don't understand. It's usually the latter. Like most niggas I see using it on twitter.com don't even know what the fuck it means. On your virtue signaling. Signal some bitches, nigga. See, the term virtue signaling is used by a lot of people when they just see progressive media and have a problem with it. That also goes for when they say that it's political. Having a diverse group of characters in your current media isn't political. It's a sign of respect to all the people who watch your shit. And it's just normal to include people who exist and have them represented because, you know, they exist. But there's actually different categories that this argument fits into. Specifically 3 in my opinion, seeing as it usually falls under those 3. As a whole, altering a character to be more diverse, that falls into a case-by-case basis. And I'm gonna like going case by case right now, like as I speak. This one is the one that is most definitely undeniably bad, seeing as the context involves the author of Harry Potter changing one of her characters into a gay man, one into a black person, and a lot of weird retconny things that fuck with the original source material. This is wrong because if you make an established work that is and has been concrete, and then make changes to it that obviously weren't originally thought of that make little to no sense, and that contradict some of your own writing, people are gonna have a problem with that. No less if you're also transphobic. She's transphobic, but also retcon marginalized groups into her work to make it look more diverse. And this isn't to appease her audience because literally no one asked for it. It's for her to seem more accepting and less intolerant when in actuality makes her look a lot more tone deaf. Honestly, like I said, this is the only version of this that is bad because you can quite literally make a reboot of the franchise with these new diverse characters and ideas that tell stories, you know, stories that they're essential for, or just outright make new characters in their own story that do exactly that. But she's too lazy for that shit and just made tweets about whatever weird thing came to her mind that sounded progressive, when really you're just canonically making the series actually worse. So bad that niggas don't even want to listen to you anymore. And that kinda sucks. Not for her though, trans rights, bitch. All this shit is just dumb and unnecessary. Hermione's black, but it's specifically written that she also has white skin. Haha, boy. I sure do hope somebody got fired for that blunder. Oh wait, it's your blunder, nigga. I'd say just make a whole new series with these themes, but she's obviously not the one to make it. Trying to get brownie points surely damn well doesn't make you look good. It's not even the fact that these small changes play a factor in the story. That's not the problem. The problem is they weren't intended in the first place. To all of a sudden, years after your published work, make a big deal about certain things that obviously weren't there in the first place comes off as a bit off-putting. I mean, if I made a show that had no pride mentioned towards the character's race, had movie adaptations that established a common view of what the character's race would be, and about everything that pointed to them not being black or like gay, there's really no easy justification for it. It just looks very scummy. Some just don't sit right with me having a transphobe being able to make that shit. I think we can all agree on that. See, as expressed in the beginning of the video, you probably know that a lot of people are talking about a hypothetically gay Spider-Man, and people have a problem with that because they feel it'd be made to appease the gays. And well, my response to that is, yeah, and homosexual ones weren't included for a while to make straight people not feel uncomfortable, while simultaneously literally not acknowledging a group of people that exist and that also consume media. Obviously, now we live in a more tolerant and accepting world where people have normalized, or at least are in the process of normalizing, showcasing same-sex relationships. So, yeah, they're appeasing the gays. Die mad. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna play you a little sad song on the world's smallest violin. Here's an impossible whopper. Get your estrogen levels up. Now on to Spider-Man. See, the problem with people having a problem with this type of alteration to a character includes the fact that there are so many fucking Spider-Man, it's unreal. Just alone, theatrically, there are 3 live-action Spider-Man and 8 animated ones. As for video games and cartoons, these niggas are in their own universe. It is not abnormal that some of the Spider-Man out of a whole Spider-Verse likes dick. Shit, some of these are women, some of these are black, some are Japanese and pilot a robot, some aren't even human and are made up of multiple spiders that act like Peter Parker in a Spider-Man suit. I want to stress that that's not even a joke. Like, it sounds like hyperbole, but that's not a joke. The Spider-Verse is fucking weird, man. There's a British guy. Point is, one of them being gay isn't exactly outlandish or crazy, and there shouldn't be a problem with it because people literally love Miles Morales. I love Miles Morales, but it's the same concept. Just switch race with sexuality. If you have no problem with Miles, then you shouldn't have a problem with an LGBT Spider-Man. And if you do, then you're a weirdo. And for the people that are pressed specifically towards the idea of Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man dating a guy, have you seen Spider-Man's love life? He's never with someone stably in these fucking movies. Someone dies, someone has to distance themselves, or some just don't go further than a school dance. I don't find it hard to believe that he'd find another love interest if MJ didn't work out. Also, I've heard someone say, well, he's not gay, so obviously it wouldn't make sense for him to date a guy. Well, I hate to break it to you, but bisexual people exist. Or maybe I don't. It's almost like there's a whole sexuality dedicated to being tailored to dating multiple people. It's almost like you can exist in a universe where you can get every piece of the pie. Nah, it sounds like something out of a fantasy novel. It's not like there's an MCU data book that officially states Spider-Man's sexuality. We're not looking at VJEP scans, alright? Oh wait, there is. But literally, who cares? He can hypothetically be bisexual, and you can be actually pissed about it like a weirdo who finds it unrealistic that a nigga who fights crime in tight, colorful spandex can't just be a little gay. Like, that nigga can definitely be gay, bro. It's not impossible. Hey, YouTube extraordinaire, large black male from YouTube.com. How do you feel about Spider-Man being potentially gay?
Nigga, like, wasn't he already gay? Like, you see what this nigga be wearing, right? Wearing skin tight fucking tights, walking around fighting other niggas. You think that shit not gay?
You should check out Down Bad Boys to see me and my friends goof off and have an alright podcast. Check it out. Or not. Back to the video, I suppose. I want to start this section off by bringing up how some people obviously want an LGBT individual to be represented correctly when it comes to including them in media, and not to be shoehorned in, so to speak. But I and many other people have come to learn that gay people kind of don't need a reason to exist. They just do. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, Craig of the Creek is a show about a boy named Craig who goes around his local creek and has adventures with his friends as little kids do. Power Rangers RPM is a show about a computer virus that takes over the world, in which said Rangers have to fight off an evil robot empire to save the world. Why did I bring these two shows up specifically? Well, they both have black main leads, and it also isn't essential to the story either, like at all. Craig and Scott, the Red Ranger, could be white, native, Hispanic, and it really wouldn't change anything. There's no story about a black struggle, racism, poverty, or any of that. They just happen to be black, and people can just happen to be gay, like Adora from She-Ra in the newest She-Ra cartoon. Adora just happens to end up with Catra, thus making her a big gaybo. And some people are mad at this change in the character's sexuality because the original 80s cartoon showed us a straight kiss between her and Bo. The last version of this argument is kind of similar to the second one, but it's different because of the situation. Technically, a lot of Spider-Man media is a reboot of the show, but because it is Spider-Man, it's also in a connected multiverse. Obviously, there's no multiverse in She-Ra, and there's no multiverse connecting the Voltron 84 cast to the newest one, but the same rules still apply. And the many reboots that will be made until the end of time time of an ongoing franchise, it is not unreasonable that one will include LGBT people and other marginalized groups. It is incredibly stupid to think that something like that, which is so unintegral to the backbone of She-Ra, seems to cause outrage. There aren't any guidelines that say she has to be straight, and even if there were, the relationship was written well, and that's all people should be worried about, if it's handled well. It's not like they pulled the J.K. Rowling and went back to the 80s She-Ra and made changes to it. A whole new show was made, with a whole new story, with new interpretations on older characters, and some just so happen to be gay. I mean, honestly, who gives a fuck? As an openly bisexual man, I don't care. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. As in, the same people who say that being gay shouldn't be a crazy outlandish thing and shouldn't be all out there, they make a big deal about it happening in the first place, when sometimes niggas are just gay. But of course, it's always the same situation where the SJWs are the ones that are crying. Yeah, because they're the ones talking about the She-Ra nightmare and not you. Yeah, She-Ra's definitely woke garbage because they have different character designs. That's a whole nother video in itself if you want to watch it. Niggas are weird, man. I don't know. Just like Nick Fury in the MCU happens to be black, Flash so happens to be not white and buff and an actual bully, and Glimmer just so happens to have a different body type that I think is really cute. Different versions of characters so happen to exist, and some of them just so happen to have a different sexuality. Is that so hard to grasp? Is it something that's inconceivable? Something unbelievably absurd that cannot coexist in the unbelievably absurd media you consume? Is it more easy to believe in magic than gay people? Where I'm getting at exactly is I think it's pretty weird for people to have a problem with stuff like this. I get friends and family talking to me sometimes about just how abnormal it is for these marginalized groups to appear in media as if they haven't existed for as long as media has existed. The title of this video is blankly just "Diversity Isn't Political," but I went for a more linear approach when justifying why new versions of characters can be more diverse. But also, people seem to have a problem with just diversity in general. In this video by The Roundtable, I was featured and I talk about how many people see Steven Universe and shows like it as virtue signaling propaganda or something along the lines of that, and constantly hear stuff that kind of makes my brain go dummy. I mean, you hear it all the time from people trying their best to demonize modern animation for featuring female leads or like Thai leads, you know, people who are just as important, and it will make no difference to include narratively in some cases, but in the real world do so much. And people will ask for sources or studies or comments or any type of specific evidence that people actually have a problem with this shit. But no matter how much I show, people will still brush it off and call the side I support crybabies. And I hate niggas like that. Y'all mad annoying. My friend What the Sheck made a really good video on why exactly representation of all kinds matters, and he explains how seeing a character just like you on screen makes you feel like you belong where you are. And in this video explains just why shit like that is necessary for younger audiences. There are times where I was at church with all the white kids in my city and I just sat there thinking about how maybe my hair texture should be straighter, or why hasn't my hair been longer, or you know, why wasn't I white? Or in grade school surrounded by predominantly black kids telling me I wasn't actually black or I was white on the inside. Never told you guys, but I got the shit bullied out of me in grade school. And I wasn't even bi yet, nigga, I was just lame. But then through the lens of animation, I connected with characters that made me feel comfortable in my own skin. Characters who all had their own stories that reflected where they came from. And that showed me just how much of a person I was compared to the next one. I was just as valid. And sorry, not sorry, but this for the most part is a minority-centered problem in the first place. So, I'm dearly sorry that I can't ever not be brought to the conclusion that the niggas that think this got the orbit confusion on them. I mean, at times I kinda understand and give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, yeah, a lot of representation is appearing in media at a faster rate than normal, and that can be a bit difficult to adjust to maybe, but at the same time, I think about how difficult it is for people to live in a world where their group isn't showcased overtly, or you have to have a show pave its way in order to get its representation. It shouldn't have been this way in the first place. People cry going on saying, why do these people deserve a month? You shouldn't be celebrating being gay, it's nothing. Well, my hypothetically ignorant friend, you get a month celebrating you when your way of existing has been suppressed and refused acknowledgement for centuries. This isn't just all of a sudden gay. Gays have been around forever. To deny them accurate representation and to pretend as if the stars have to align on a solar eclipse for them to be in the media, as if some grandiose thing has to happen for someone to just be gay, as if it has to be a crazy ass struggle for a marginalized group of people to be showcased. I'm tired of it, and so are many other people. That's why this type of representation in the media matters, and that's why I get so miffed when people got a problem with it.
What I mean is, you changed my life.
That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith.
Did you just jump into fire for me? What? No! Shut up! And then I changed your life.
I thought being a big brother was easy, but it's only easy because I have a super capable little sister.
And now we change our lives.
Hey, hi, hello beautiful beanbag. I'm glad that you made it to the end of this video, and I'm glad that you watched this video in full. I really enjoy when you beautiful buttons decided to support me by watching my stuff. I just wanted to take the time to thank you guys for such a plentiful and amazing year, and next year will be just as plentiful, if not double. I'm aiming for double. Just remember to stay in Lance McLean and drink some water. That's all.
Meet me in the back when you find out why you'll find somebody else last Monday night. The liquor will do something to sit down, stand down. The bros come out of my head.
Beat like attention. Stop like, beat like attention.